Good morning, class. We're still in chapter 4, and today we're going to discuss the fourth mode of extinguishing an obligation, and that is confusion or merger of rights. Now, when does confusion or merger of rights happen? Nangyayari ito if the personality of the debtor and the creditor are merged into one and the same person. As when dati siyang nagpautang, ngayon siya na ang may utang. Article 1275 states that the obligation is extinguished from the time the characters of the creditors and the creditor and the debtor are merged in one and the same person. Sir, kailan nangyayari yan? Okay, we can explain this by way of example. In your Law 3, you're going to discuss negotiable instruments. One of the instrument in negotiable instruments law is the promissory note. Negotiable promissory note. When you say negotiable promissory note, may utang ka, nag-issue ka ng promissory note, Kaya lang yung promissory note na in-issue mo is negotiable. So, ibig sabihin, if it is negotiable, it could be passed from one person to another. Pinasa mo ito kay person A. Pinasa ni person A kay person B. Pinasa ni person B kay person C. Pinasa ni person C kay person D. Si person D, pinasa niya sa'yo. You are person X. So, ibig sabihin, dati ikaw ang may utang, Dati ikaw ang may utang, ngayon ikaw na ang nagpautang. Therefore, the personalities of the debtor and the creditor are merged into one and the same person. With that, the obligation is extinguished. We call that one merger. Merger or confusion of rights. That is the first mode of extinguishing an obligation. So very short ang provision and discussion ng merger and consolidation class, A confusion and merger of rights dito sa chapter 4. We will deal more on this. You will know more of this when you reach your Law 3, and that is the rules on obligations and contracts. But suffice it to say that the fourth mode of extinguishing an obligation is confusion or merger of right. Now, let us go to the fifth mode of extinguishing an obligation, and that is compensation. Compensation is, according to 1278, according to 1278, compensation shall take place when two or more persons in their own right are creditor and debtor of each other. How does that happen? Si A may utang kay B, si B may utang kay A. In that case, both are creditors and debtors of each other. Therefore, they may compensate. Ibig sabihin, offset. Offset. Now, what is the difference between compensation from confusion, confusion of rights? Let us distinguish Section 4 and Section 5. First, Section 4, confusion. Ano yung confusion kanina? The personality of the creditor and debtor are merged in one and the same person. Dito naman sa compensation, dalawang tao, creditors and debtors of each other. So, first distinction. In compensation, there must be two persons who in their own rights are creditors and debtors of each other. So, A and B, si A may utang kay B, si B may utang din kay A. Then they compensate. While in confusion, there is only one person in whom is merged the qualities of the creditor and debtor. Yung example ko kanina sa negotiable promissory note. Number 2, second distinction. In compensation, there must be at least two obligation. Dito naman sa confusion, isang obligation lang. So again, for the purpose of emphasis, if we are going to compare compensation from confusion, in compensation, there are two persons involved, A and B, each are creditors and debtors of each other. Si A may utang kay B, si B, and in a separate transaction, meron ding utang kay A. So they will compensate. If that happens, then the obligation is extinguished. Dito naman sa confusion or merger of rights, isang tao lang. Dati siya ang nagpautang, ngayon siya ang may utang. That happens in case of negotiable promissory notes or negotiable bills of exchange, which we are going to discuss when you reach negotiable instruments law. So that is the difference between Section 4, which is a mode of extinguishing an obligation, confusion or merger of rights, and Section 5, which is compensation. Now, requisites of compensation. And by the way, there are different kinds of compensation class, You have the legal compensation and you also have the voluntary compensation. Legal compensation and voluntary compensation. Okay, voluntary or conventional. Another word for voluntary is conventional. Now, What are the requisites of a conventional by the way, what is a legal compensation? A legal compensation takes effect by the operation of the law. No? From the moment all the requisites prescribed by law are present, legal compensation takes place ex opere when the requisites of the law are present. Okay, this is discussed in Article 1278 and 1279. No? It states here that legal compensation happens if, number one, each one of the obligor be bound principally and that he may be at the same time principal creditor of another. No? Compensation, the creditor, the obligor is bound principally, at the same time principal creditor of the other. That both debts consist of sum of money, or if the things are due, these are consumable. They may be of the same kind and also of the same quality if the latter has been stated. The two debts are due and that they are liquidated and demandable, and that either of them there may be retention of any controversy commenced by a third person and communicated in due time to the debtor. So these are the requisites when legal compensation happens. No? You read Article 1278 and 1279, merong mga explanation ang author doon that will broaden your understanding. Another one is the voluntary or conventional compensation. Requisites of conventional compensation: that each of the parties can dispose of the credit he seeks to compensate and that they agree for mutual extinguishment of credit. So, ibig sabihin, they agree, sige, ako may utang sa iyo, ikaw may utang sa akin, then we will just compensate. Okay? So, these are the things that you are going to remember in the fourth mode, in chapter 4, the fourth and the fifth mode of extinguishing an obligation: compensation for section 5 and confusion or merger of rights for section 4. Okay, so these are the things that you are going to remember for this particular chapter, no? For this particular mode of extinguishing an obligation. Now, next video would be, we will discuss the sixth mode, which is novation. Have a good day, class.